Good evening. If we could, let's take a moment and bow our heads in silence and reflection. Thank you very, very much. Do we have anyone that's never been to one of our town meetings before? We're glad you're all back. And let's officially call the meeting to order. You have been welcomed. And now we're going to pledge allegiance to the flag to my right. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Number 4 on the agenda is the consideration of approving the agenda as presented. Is there a motion?
I have one question on the minutes from the special meeting of April 13th. The budget workshop expenses, the paragraph in governing body administration, decreased town hall debt service, and a proposed 3% salary increase, merit or COLA, it's up to the board. I asked at a meeting this week earlier whether or not we had made a decision on that, and David, you at that point thought that we had made a decision.
What line are you on?
Budget workshops, page 16, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 and
Okay.
5.
Okay, but we're
We
not
approve
on
the
that.
agenda first.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you said the minutes. I'm sorry, I jumped
That's all
ahead.
right. I know it's getting late.
I move we approve,
I'm sorry.
I move we approve all 4 sets of the minutes.
No, we're on the agenda.
All right, let's start
I
again.
confused everybody, sorry.
Call the meeting to order. We just finished the pledge. Let's do
Move we approve the agenda.
let's look at number 4, consider approving the agenda.
Second.
All right, any more discussion on approval of the agenda? All in favor of approving the agenda as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone who doesn't like it, say no. All right. It's unanimous, we've approved it. Now, let's turn our attention to number 5 and consider the approval of the minutes collectively or individually, whatever your motion may be. Do we need a motion before we do the discussion?
I move that we do them individually.
Okay,
So approve individually or discuss when there's an issue.
A second.
okay. I don't know what to do with that.
There's a motion that we consider the minutes individually for approval or discussion.
Okay, all right, so we're gonna do that. Okay, does everybody understand the motion?
Yep.
Yes,
All
sir.
right,
Got it.
those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. So we're going to do it individually. Okay. Is there a motion that we consider the possibility of approving 5A?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor of approving 5A as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say no. All right, 5A is approved as presented. Is there a motion to possibly consider passing 5B?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone that was opposed? No, so 5B is approved. Consideration of 5C.
So moved.
I have a question to the town manager.
Okay.
Second.
All right, we got a second. All right, now you can discuss.
Okay, sorry.
It's gonna be a long night, isn't it?
On the expenses budget workshop, 1, 2, 3, 4, lines 4 and 5, there's a proposed 3% salary increase, merit or COLA, it's up to the board. I think I asked that question this week, and David, you had thought it had been designated as merit, and that's not what this is reflecting. So I'm not challenging that that's what was said, but if we have not determined which it is, we're going to have to determine it.
Correct.
Okay, so,
Gotcha.
so.
I'm going to present it as merit to answer the next question, but the board will have to decide how they want to proceed on
Okay,
that.
so again, Heather, I'm not doubting that these minutes,
That's
All right.
probably exactly what I said.
yeah, okay, all right. That was my only question on those.
Okay.
I move item C be approved. Well, we did that already. We did. So we just take a vote.
Okay, is everybody, did you have any changes, or is it as it is?
I think the changes that the town manager is, although it says here merit or COLA, he is going to be presenting it at the budget as merit. So I can't question that the minutes are correct. I mean, David
Madam
said he
Clerk, you
may
wanna-
well have said that.
I wouldn't, that's what she said at the meeting, so the minutes should reflect what Mandy had presented at the actual meeting, and then the next minutes would present that, because David did say it was presented as a merit, so the next ones would reflect that.
Okay,
So since she said that, it should stay in chronological order of how they actually did.
okay,
Okay, so the motion stands as presented, is that right?
yes.
Everybody understand that?
Yes, sir.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. So 5C is approved as presented. All right, we're on 5D. Is there a motion to approve 5D?
So moved.
Okay, is there a second? Second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approving 5D as presented?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? It's unanimously approved, Madam Clerk. Now we're on public comments. Number 6, I have 2 names on the list to speak. Becky Willis is not here, but she's asked that the clerk read for her. Madam Clerk,
Okay?
for item number 12.
Okay. Good evening, Commissioners. Because today is an election day and I'm the Chief Judge for Precinct 20, I am unable to attend the meeting tonight to speak to agenda item number 12. I have asked the Town Clerk, Heather Fennell, to read my remarks during the public comments portion of the meeting. I have had the opportunity to attend numerous activities sponsored by Holden Beach Parks and Recreation for several years and have served as a member of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board for the past 3 years. Christy is kind and respectful to all of the residents and guests who visit Holden Beach and serves as a tremendous ambassador for our community. Christy Ferguson works tirelessly. As Director of Parks and Recreation, Christy organizes and attends special events such as Boo at the Beach, the Easter egg hunt, the 3K and 5K runs, the turkey trot, the volunteers luncheon, and the survivor luncheon. Christy prepares for the weekly year-round activities such as Rummy Cube, Bridge, and yoga. She also prepares for and attends all of the seasonal activities like the Sunday night concerts, Tuesday tie-dye, and Thursday summer camp. Christy efficiently and effectively coordinates and manages an Easter egg hunt with over 400 people and 1,600 eggs in a 2-hour time frame. She sets up, cleans up, and manages the tie-dyeing of over 400 t-shirts in under 2 hours. Christy also works cooperatively with the Holden Beach Beautification Club to keep our gardens beautiful and in compliance with all regulations. In addition to her parks and recreation duties, Christy is also responsible for shoreline protection. Since she will be responsible for the new Inlet and Beach Protection Board, she should be adequately compensated for the additional duties associated with this board. Christy attends all of the commissioner meetings and budget meetings and understands the unique operations of a coastal community. Other than the proper management of the finances, what could possibly be more important in a beach town than parks and recreation and shoreline protection? She certainly has the knowledge and experience to have the title of Assistant Town Manager. The average salary for a Parks and Recreation Director in North Carolina is $49,411, which is 25% below the national average. If Christy is given this proposed title change and salary increase, she will still make slightly less than the state average for a Parks and Rec Director. I cannot think of a single reason for you to not pass agenda item number 12 and give Christy Ferguson the much-deserved title and salary increase that is commensurate with what she is already doing for Holden Beach. Sincerely, Becky Willis, 140 Carolina Avenue.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Yes, sir.
Dolly Mitchell, come to the podium, please, ma'am.
Dolly Mitchell, 132 Tarpon Drive. I too would like to address agenda item 12. And I'm speaking for my husband Louis and myself. We want to offer our support to Town Manager Hewitt's proposal to have Christy Ferguson designated as the Assistant Town Manager. We've seen the recreation program here on the beach thrive and grow under her direction. Her positive attitude and ability to organize events and people are attributes we find commendable. Her shoreline protection contacts and knowledge of shoreline issues make her even a more valuable asset. I don't know the dollar amount she's been instrumental in getting for the town from grants she has submitted, both state and federal, but I think this amount is probably significant and in the millions. We hope this move will entice her to remain and continue her work for us. For with her reputation and her contacts at the state and in the surrounding communities, we want to do all we can to keep her talents here and working for the town of Oakland Beach.
Thank you, ma'am. That concludes our public comments on agenda items. We're on number 7. Mr. Clemens, Public Directors. What did I say, Public Directors? It is gonna be a long night. isn't it?
Well,
Public Work.
I got good news for you. I won't bore you with a boring slideshow tonight, being it don't work, but that's what I'd planned to do. Vacuum sewer system upgrade for pump station number 4. We'll give you a report of what's been done since the last report I give you. The time I turned this in, we didn't have a whole lot of information other than we had a pre-bid meeting the 24th of April. All the contractors were interested in the project, showed the interest, and actually visited the stations. But today, we've had a slight setback. Bids come in, and we only had 2 people to submit a bid. So we need a third, and in order for us to do everything like we need to, we actually have to advertise for bids again, and it's supposed to go out again in tomorrow's paper. So if that goes out tomorrow, by the 17th, we should be able to award a bid, providing we get the third bidder. And if we can do that, that'll still keep us on schedule with the timeline that we had laid out in the beginning. I skipped over the financials I had on the spreadsheet there, but since the last meeting, I was seeing difference in financials. I actually paid another invoice to Leo Green. Go ahead.
Well, you just tickled my fancy here when you said that, but the receiving of the bids, now going out again with the bid process. If we go out again with the bid process, what's the next step in the process? Suppose we only receive 2 people that are interested.
The law provides for, you don't have to have 3 bids on the second go-around, provided the bids are responsive, qualified, and within the money that's budgeted. And then if you have the first 2, even though you don't have the 3 that was required on the initial go-around, you would have a choice of whether to negotiate with the apparent low bidder or appropriate additional funds.
Do the 2 that submitted bids have to resubmit, or those bids still stand?
Since there were not 3 bids, we accepted no bids.
Yeah, they carry them back and they resubmit again the next time.
They're in the room and their noses are counted, but they don't open the envelope
Okay.
unless there are 3 bids.
Okay.
But I would have to say I was really surprised with the turnout that we had at the pre-bid meeting for it to only be 2 showed up. That kind of floored me. But then again, if you look around, construction's up and there's a lot of work out, so that may not work in our favor, but it's what we got to deal with. If anybody's got any questions,
But you did say, though, even with this rebid, the schedule is still valid?
we're gonna shoot for that right there, because actually we could award we could do a bid opening on the 17th, but even after we do the bid opening, we'd still have to, have a meeting to award the contract.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Okay.
Does that sound correct?
Okay. Thanks.
If anybody's got any questions, I might get answered, and I'll do my best.
So still on budget?
So far,
Okay.
but we hope it is at this point, because
Haven't
Yeah,
done much.
things really can change once you put a shovel in the ground. If it starts getting out before we even start, it's, really be scary, wouldn't it? That being said, I'll have to see.
All right, thank you, Mr. Clemens. I assume that we skipped the next item on the agenda, is that correct?
If possible, we'd like to still talk about it.
It's scheduling.
Since they're rescheduling until the 17th for the bid opening, we were wondering, based on what you guys do for agenda item 11, if you're gonna hold that on the 23rd, if you just wanna do the award of contract on the 23rd too. So if you wanna address both of those two items together, or however the board would like to proceed. But we can't do it before the 17th, and it looks like we have a hard time with the quorum until about the 23rd anyway.
Okay, yeah.
If
So
it-
you're proposing the 23rd for,
For item 11 and for item 7, if that will work for the board.
yep.
I'm sorry, 8.
Yeah, I'm good, but it has, I'd ask that it be 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
I can ask the engineer, well, that's actually the time that was good for him.
Okay, good.
1 o'clock on the 23rd is,
I'm open, I'm good.
Okay.
I know I don't have the whole board, so that's, you guys, if you want to make sure you do have a quorum, there was a couple missing on that actual date.
I'm okay.
I'm
Good.
okay.
There you go. You're good. You okay? I think when you have 4 people, that'll be good.
Just, if it makes anybody feel better, the item 11 is a public hearing, no action to be taken. That's the vetting publicly of the sewer facility assessment fee.
But we would be taking action on approving the contract.
Yes. Hopefully, yeah.
Okay, well, if that's okay with the board, then we'll go ahead and schedule both of them for 1 PM on the 23rd.
Okay.
Okay. I may or may not be here. I've got a League of Municipalities meeting. If you instruct me to be here, I'll be here. If you want me to go to the League of Municipalities meeting, I'll go there. But again, I can't be in 2 places. Or if somebody wants to take my chair at some of these meetings I go to, if you don't know that, that's good too. You may be here, or you may be in Raleigh.
I think,
You there as well.
I went to in Raleigh.
All right.
Yeah, I agree.
Higher value.
Mayor Pro Tem here that day? Are you here?
If anything changes, I'll let you know.
Okay,
Oh, no.
I'm good.
If the mayor pro tem isn't here, there'll be somebody designated to run the meeting.
Correct.
We need 4.
Yep.
Need 3.
Not if the mayor's not here.
Oh, we have 4.
We're just checking something real quick.
The mayor and 3 commissioners, or 3 commissioners without the mayor shall constitute a quorum of the board. So if I have 3 commissioners,
3 commissioners is a quorum.
it's 3 commissioners
Yeah,
or the
you'll have
mayor
4.
and 3 commissioners.
Yeah, I have 4 to my knowledge.
All right, Madam Clerk, help me out on my agenda. Will you tell me where I am?
Police report, number 9.
All right, Chief.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Pleased to report that since our little flurry prior to the last board meeting of several break-ins. We've been able to apprehend the gentleman that was causing those, not only here, but Ocean Isle, Sunset, and in the county. And he's residing at the Crossbar Hotel currently until they let him go again. That being said, crime-wise, we're in good shape. We survived the days at the docks, which I understand was quite successful, according to the Merchants Association. The island was fairly packed out. Just a preview of what's to come in a couple of weeks. That being said, that's where we're at. We're trying to get prepared for the Memorial Day weekend, which will be, I'm sure, a typical Memorial Day weekend and the kickoff to the 100 fun days of summer that we all look forward to every year. We're still waiting for our fine state to approve the paperwork for the officer that we're trying to hire prior to the season. We understand that we may be within 10 or 15 days of getting that approval, so we're inching ever closer to being able to accomplish that. All that being said, be glad to answer any questions. Parking? What do you want me to say about parking, boss? Parking, we enforce the parking ordinances. Parking is not allowed on OBW, on the sidewalks, or anywhere. I think what picked this scab was an unfortunate incident that happened festival weekend, wherein a box truck, for lack of a better term, I think was operated by Lowe's Home Improvement, was attempting to deliver a refrigerator at 676 OBW. In that effort, the box truck was not totally out of the road on OBW and would have been partially on the sidewalk. Both of those things are illegal as far as our ordinances go. There was nowhere else for the truck to be in order to be able to deliver the refrigerator, so he did the best he could. Unfortunately, an elderly gentleman was traveling west on OBW and failed to see the 30-foot long by 8-foot wide by 11-foot tall box truck with its flashers on sitting there, and proceeded to run into it. The gentleman was not injured, even though he was transported. And the reason he was transported, my understanding is that he indicated to EMS at that time that he had blacked out and didn't see the truck. That being the case, had the truck not been there, it'd have been on somebody's front porch or in somebody's living room. I promise we are enforcing all the parking ordinances. We have placed our sign at the foot of the bridge warning folk, don't park on OBW, don't park on the sidewalks. And our guys are being extremely diligent, since the scab was picked again, to make sure that we are enforcing those types of things. And I think the boss has gotten a call in that regard.
Well, what about during festivals?
We do the best we can during festivals. We do the best. Here's the deal. Majority of the year, everything's fine. It's fairly typical. Then you have days at the docks, Festival by the Sea, Memorial Day, 4th of July, and Labor Day. There's only so much we can do. We only have so much space on the island for folk to park. And Brunswick County is one of the fastest growing counties, not only in the state, but in the country. And when those folk move to Brunswick County, for whatever reason, they want to come to Holden Beach. And they don't care where they park. And we could write 2,000 tickets a weekend, and it wouldn't stop them from coming back and parking again the next time. We do the best we can. We've always done the best we can. Is there an answer? I'd welcome one if there is. We write parking tickets, and we're making efforts now to be able to actually collect those parking tickets, at least in the state of North Carolina. But a lot of the folk that are doing the illegal parking don't live in the state of North Carolina. It's Virginia, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, all over the country. So, honestly, we do the best we can do with what we have to do it with. I don't know what else to say.
Can you tell me how many summonses were issued last week for parking on Ocean Boulevard?
I can't-
Since that incident happened and you,
I know
The
at least two were. And one was to the truck that was illegally parked, that was involved in the accident. And one was a contractor who proceeded to call David with his displeasure. And I understand he also may have called a couple of commissioners. I don't know who they were or if he actually did or not. That's just rumor control. So, we're out there, we're doing what we can. Promise.
I guess the only problem that I have, Chief, and I know that, under the conditions of all the people on the island at one time, and we're not the only island in Brunswick County, and there's other islands, and I'm sure they have the same problem as well.
I promise.
But at the end of the day, I think we need to really get together and try to determine exactly how do we go forward with this. If we have an incident where somebody really truly gets hurt, a child comes running down an access beachway or something, and there's cars parked there, and they can't see the cars, and they run out into the street, we're gonna have a problem. And so, all I'm saying is maybe fall back to the 20-yard line, let's rethink this and see if there's something else we can do, is what I'm asking.
What I'm saying is, we issue summons. If someone's parked in the road, we make an attempt to locate the vehicle. If we can't locate, the owner of the vehicle, if we can't, then that vehicle's towed. We've got pictures, I've got files. I know the perception is we don't enforce parking for whatever reason, but that's not the reality. And everybody's entitled to their opinion. Like I said, we do the best we can with what we got. I got one cop on the beach at a time, most of the time, sometimes two, if I can afford a cover shift that particular day. And on holiday weekends and those types of situations, we try to make sure that we have two, at least the busy part of the day.
Thanks, Chief.
Yes, sir.
Madam Clerk, you gonna talk to us on number 10?
We would recommend, holding that public hearing for the floodplain ordinances and maps at the next board meeting, which would be June 19th, so at 7 PM on June 19th.
Sounds good to me.
Everybody agree to that?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Madam Clerk, you want to address number 11?
Oh, that's the one that I skipped ahead on you, sorry. That one's
Alright.
done.
Number 12, Mr. Hewitt.
Yes, sir. I've got a memo before you requesting the Board of Commissioners reclassify the current Shoreline Protection and Recreation Programs Manager position to an Assistant Town Manager slot. The proposed reclassification is necessary in order to reflect the actual roles and responsibilities that the position has evolved into and that the incumbent is currently performing. Increased demand and focus on shoreline matters, along with the continuing growth of recreation functions, has driven the need for raising the scope, visibility, and authority of the existing position. The current shoreline protection manager, recreation manager position was the only position that we didn't true up in the 2015 employee salary review. The reclassified positions range of $49,224 to $74,063 has been established using some operational audit benchmarks for work of equivalent levels in terms of responsibility, facilities, and community relevance. Reclassification will result in an annual salary increase for the incumbent to the range minimum equal to $7,854, the residual of which for the rest of this fiscal year anyway, which can be sourced from within existing resources and will subsequently be budgeted in accordance with the personnel policy for the full fiscal year beginning 1 July of 2018. It's recommended that the reclassification become effective immediately, subject to the requisite administrative and personnel actions required for implementation. Some of I've got a job description before you, and the short version of that job description without all the, the 3-page deep dive details is that this position is envisioned to be the primary assistant to the manager for programs and projects management for all beach, inlet, canal, and waterway projects, performing highly responsible program and project executive, technical, and administrative work with regard to the development and the direction of recreational programs for all groups, age, and interest levels within the town. It'll also serve as the staff liaison to the Beach and Inlet Board, along with the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, and will be responsible for developing adequate facilities. A big foot stomper that I have here too is that this will be the functional oversight manager of the entire Beach Park Access and Recreation Trust Fund. I request that the board approve the reclassification in accordance with the memo.
Is there a motion?
Motion?
Second?
I'll second.
Discussion?
Can I start? I fully support this position. I support, especially since, we're looking forward and to support the new, the Beach and Inlet Protection Board. I support Christie doing this. But my question is this, there's some details and there's 3 pages that I'd like to review with you, but this is a personnel matter. Shouldn't this be done in a closed session?
No, this is a spaces, not a faces issue as far as the reclassification of the actual slot. The assignment of the individual to it is a personnel matter, but that's handled administratively.
There's a real person sitting here that's assigned to this. So, I think it's a blurred line between being a personnel manager and not.
Would you say that again? It's a blurred.
So, we're talking about a person, not and a position, both?
Well, the attorney's not here, and I guess I'm the parliamentary guy, but it's a position matter, not a person matter. So therefore, it has to be discussed in the public.
Okay. I
Now,
don't agree.
now, anybody can correct me if I'm wrong, but if you want to go beyond the position and later talk about a personnel matter, then you can go into executive session. But as I understand the rules of procedure, because this is a position, then it's an open meeting.
Yeah, but it's a position that's being, that
Well,
it's
break
currently.
the motion down.
So,
otherwise.
go ahead. We'll vote on this motion, and I'll present
You
another
understand what I'm
motion.
saying? If you break the motion down, you might be able to get what you want. But right now, the way it is,
I'll-
as I understand it,
I would like clarification. Do you intend to hire another person for Parks and Recs, or is this simply taking her job and redefining the current job?
That's exactly what we're doing here, is we're redefining that
Just
job.
redefining her job to recognize what she's already doing.
That's
Is
correct.
that correct?
well, let me come back. The position I took on the parliamentary procedure was, if you're talking about a position, but if you're gonna continue to act as a whole, if you have a problem with it, then maybe we need to rethink it.
Yeah, like I say, I don't have a problem with doing this. I don't have a problem with the person that we're talking about, but I'd like to discuss the details in an executive session because of those two things. Because we're talking about a specific employee.
I could read you the general statute. It's for personnel, it's to consider the qualifications, competence, performance, character, fitness, conditions of appointment, or conditions of initial appointment of an individual public officer or employee or prospective public officer or employee, or to hear an investigation or a complaint, charge or grievance by or against an individual public officer. General personnel policy issues may not be considered in a closed session. A public body may not consider the qualifications, competence, performance, character, fitness, appointment, or removal of a member of the public body, or another body may not consider or fill a vacancy among its own membership. But the way that we always took it is David does the hiring and firing, so you're just doing the actual action of the personnel policy by adding this job description. So in my opinion, I'm with the mayor and the town manager that I don't think it's appropriate to talk about in executive session. But I'm not the lawyer either. But that's-
So you're saying the details, the three-page details are not appropriate to discuss in a executive session?
Because it's general personnel policy. It's the job description that we're talking about, not,
Okay.
that's how I take it. But like I said, I'm not the attorney.
If you don't like it, the makers of the motion
this-
and the second person can withdraw it and you can put it off.
This job description isn't very much different than what it already is.
Well, the pay range is very different.
Can I hear the motion again, please? The motion.
The motion, restate your motion.
Who made the motion?
The motion was to approve the position reclassification as described by the town manager in the document, Town of Holden Beach Assistant Town Manager.
The motion is about the position, not about the person.
Right. And believe me, I have no problem with the person at all, and, matter of fact, I certainly respect the recommendation, for the individual for the position. I'm just having a little bit of a problem with, maybe the salary range, and then to be effective immediately, why couldn't this wait till July 1st when we have the new budget?
So I get asked a question also, just, and I would have done this if we did it in closed. The salary range of 50 to 75,000, where did that come from? Who established that?
That was a composite amalgamation of a number of Parks and Recreation Assistant Town Manager positions across North Carolina for a target population of about 6,000 people, which is about what we have here at Holden Beach on an annualized basis.
So this was public knowledge or just something that you did?
This was my compilation from the public domain.
I'd ask a question again.
I'd just like to
Ask your
comment.
question again.
Yeah, I don't think I got an answer to my question, but maybe I'll ask it again. Can this wait till July 1st when we go forward with the new budget?
Yes, but it's been my experience that if you're going to, take an action that has a personnel implication, that you should go ahead and do it in order to make it effective as quickly as possible.
Again, I may not agree with that, but, I would normally wait till my budget is approved.
Well, the residual left in the remainder of the year, it isn't really all that much money and would be budgeted
I know,
in the next
I
year.
kind of look at setting a precedent. This really sets a precedent, and sometimes you need to have precedents. But we're so close to July.
Yeah, and I was thinking that, with the workload that's going to be done with the new beach and inlet board, that there was a desire, an impetus in order to stand that board up, that there's going to be work that goes along with that. And of course, the workload that goes along with it and the requirements for just staff support for that are going to increase as that board comes up. And it's going to come up before the end of the fiscal year.
And I'd like to see that board in place ASAP.
So with that said, is there, how, and I think you're kind of trying to say two things at the same time. It's the same job, but it's really not the same job, right? The current job is shoreline protection, but we're hopefully going to shift a lot more of that current job, this new job, to a lot more of the time being dedicated to shoreline protection, right? Is that, what do you see as the current and the future percentage of that role?
I don't know. There's,
Now I would say you're getting into the part where you might want to do that in a closed session.
I was told, yeah.
Well, we're told, I think, if you would read the beginning of when we need to have a closed session, I would appreciate that, Heather.
To consider the qualifications, competence, performance, character, fitness conditions of appointment, or conditions of initial appointment of an individual public officer or employee, or prospective public officer or employee.
Can you people here in the back pull the mic down and speak in the mic, please?
To consider the qualifications, competence, performance, character, fitness conditions of appointment, or conditions of initial appointment of an individual public officer or employee, or prospective public officer or employee.
Yeah, so from what I hear, it does, you're right, it doesn't, I'm not questioning the qualifications, I'm not questioning anything about that. My question was the percentage of the role. So I think that's regardless of who is in that role, who's in that position. Well, to me, that's a central point of this discussion, because to me, that's why we're doing this, so there's a bigger emphasis on the beach and inlet activity, which is much more robust and needed versus what the current
I mean, I can
role
flip a
is.
coin and say it's gonna be 50-50. You know, a lot of it's gonna be determined about what type of roles and responsibilities and how much emphasis, focus is gonna be, that the Beach and Inlet Board is gonna be putting out. I assumed that was gonna be a high priority, issue dealing with, levels of, responsibility far beyond, you know, just here at Holden Beach.
Okay, that's, so 50% of the time, okay, that's, and what do you think?
Give
Oh, I know,
or-
I'm
give or
not,
take,
it's not
yeah.
exact, but you know where I'm
Yeah.
going. Right now, the position, would have what percentage, you think? 15%, 20%?
Oh, no. I mean, you might as well say it's 50% now, to be honest with you. Yeah.
But
Well, you're not making you're not making the argument then, to me, David, because then why change it? You just described the same job then.
I'll make a comment and tell you why I think we should change it.
Good.
To go back to, well, I mean, since I've been here, since I've lived here, since I've, even more so as I've been on this board, I see all the things that Chrissy does. People who spoke on her behalf said it more eloquently than I can. But the one thing that I can kind of build a little bit on is that I asked to find out just in the last few years, how much revenue, how much money Christie brought to this town by getting grants. And put it in a nutshell, it's over $8 million. Now, we got almost $6 million back from Matthew. There was another 500,000 from Irene, or whatever the storm was, Irene. There was 35,000 done for some work that we got 35,000 from. And we just got $1.5 million for the people who live on the canal. Now, I think, all that being said, that justifies, and it also shows that despite the fact that there wasn't a separate board, a lot of Christie's time was dedicated to it. She has a vast knowledge, more than any of us, I would venture to say. And so she's earned that money. And she's earned it for what she's done and what she's going to continue to do in the future. And she's earned that money starting as soon as we approve it.
Time out. I'm not talking about that, because you're talking about qualifications, which we should not talk about in public. I'm talking about the role of this job description.
And I just pointed out what role she's played and what role she'll continue to play. And the way she's done it, she's earned this position. This position, she's earned it.
If I could
And I'm not
chime,
disputing that one bit.
if I could chime in also, the canal dredging program, is getting ready to take off exponentially, with what's gonna be done with that project coming up here. I mean, it's going to be, canal dredging here in the past. It is going to morph into, a larger programmatic and require a lot more involvement with, state and federal agencies in order to keep doing that.
So would you like to change your 50/50 on current and 50/50 on the future? That's,
I mean,
because I see, okay, that's fine, but I see the inlet. We have a lot of work and activity in the inlet that we really didn't have, because we were looking, we were looking to pass or fail the terminal groin. So I see a lot more work on that. I see, making sure that the east end is being, related to the inlet, put sand from dredging the inlet, a lot of work on that. So that's why I asked the question. I think the focus on the future job is going to be less recreation and more beach, inlet, and canal.
But we're still gonna have to do them all.
And that's a follow-up question.
Right.
So it's only one person that you're asking to do what I think is a lot more. So how do you anticipate?
Well, and that goes to, in the job description, we speak to the management of various volunteers and interns.
Okay.
You know, that's a span of control, issue that is executive in nature, performing that type of work. And in order to continue doing those kinds of things, you know, that's the workforce that we're gonna have to field in order to provide those types of services.
Okay.
I think. And coaching volunteers and interns is probably more complex and convoluted than, you know, somebody that's 40 hours a week. Or that's been my experience.
Yeah, yeah.
I think without talking about specifics, if I were picking a town manager or assistant town manager for a town I was running, and we were here, Christie would be the one I'd pick.
And
The skill level,
trust me.
everything from one end to the other.
I totally agree with you. I mean, that's not my point.
Exactly.
You know, my point is to make sure that this role has the emphasis that it should. I'm 100% comfortable with the person that's currently and is proposed to be in the future. 100% comfortable with that.
Will do.
Yeah, and I think it really demonstrates too, David, a wonderful concept here, a career path. You know, each and every one of us, right, in life, always wanted to be assured that someone was looking out for us. Some of them were called godfathers and that.
Mentors.
And mentors. And then we got real fancy in business having career paths, where we actually identified people to advance within an organization. And I'll tell you, you know, Christie is a perfect example of the way she puts her effort and right foot forward and demonstrates ahead of time. You know, because years ago, I had a number of people that would tell me, well, Joe, I want this job. Oh, okay. But, you know, you need to demonstrate to me that you could do something to earn the job and that. And I certainly think Christie has, you know, done an excellent job of doing that as well. I guess I'm just still kind of stuck on the fact that, why not wait till July 1st? Yeah. 2 months. 2 months. It's a budget process. I know.
I had a different experience in my company that when we approved a position, it was effective the next pay period. So I think it depends on where you come from. So I don't find it unusual to make something effective immediately.
That's why we're having a discussion. And discussions are healthy.
We still have the motion.
You can move the question if you choose to.
I believe my motion's appropriate,
Let's vote on
the motion that I made. Okay.
You can move your question, call for the vote.
I had a second by Mike, okay. Could we have a vote on the motion?
Tell chair,
Ah.
call the question. I'm
Okay, so I'm still learning this.
Okay.
Okay.
Just tell me you want
Yes.
the vote. That means the discussion
This-
stops, and we
Okay.
have a vote.
I move that we close the discussion and would the chair call for a vote?
All right, all in favor say aye,
Aye.
opposed say no. Is that a unanimous vote?
Unanimous.
Madam Clerk's unanimous vote in favor of the motion to approve. All right. Are we on number 13? Talk about turtles.
Yes.
All right. I don't know whose this is, so who do I need to call on?
I think it was mine.
Okay?
After the last meeting, we had so much, we didn't get around to this. The fellow had made a second request. I don't see why we wouldn't accept this and why we couldn't find an appropriate place on the island to put it where the most people could see it. I think they want to do it in July. I was kind of thinking we could ask the Park and Recs people or some, to come up with a position to place it. I think they should be able to do that within the next month, right? And then we can place it when the family comes down in July.
So do you
Is
move,
that a motion to
you make a
accept?
motion?
Yes, well, all right, fine.
Okay.
You know-
Is there a second to
Second.
motion? All right, now discuss it.
You want me to say it all again?
Now you get,
Just what I said.
I have a suggestion. Maybe we could have the Parks and Rec give some options and have the family pick one of those options.
They're gonna be here for July, whatever you want to do. And I'm sorry, but from the look of it, it doesn't look like we're gonna have to provide a pedestal or anything. It's gonna be more or less on the ground itself, so that's easy enough, so.
the chair would encourage a motion to accept or not accept and go from there.
I move that we accept the
Yeah, we've got that
The donation.
motion in a second, so,
Done.
okay,
Yeah.
all right. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Okay, now we've agreed to accept it. Now, if there was another motion to turn it over to somebody to make those decisions, that would be great. If it's not, we move to the next item on the agenda. If not, all right. Very good. Number 14, Mr. Hewitt. Easement from Margaret Devaney and Abels.
Yes, sir. Tim's going to talk specifically to this, but we've been working for an extended period of time with the Ables to acquire a permanent access and utilities easement across the property that's near the end of Heron Land and Wind. Acquiring the easement is going to facilitate the maintenance of the town's property, i.e. the dredge pool area down there that lies to the east of the Ables, and also enable the installation of utilities there. It will limit the comings and goings of pedestrian traffic, only in addition to the government-sponsored vehicles that are required for maintenance of any utilities that may go down there. And the memo was on top of a draft easement. The easement that you have in front of you is the final version and is ready to go. Tim, you want to talk to the actual location if anybody wants to refer to the map? Right now, the 20 acres or so that is the dredge pool area 292, we're landlocked and can't get to it. Well, I say landlocked, you can either, unless you want to trudge across the marsh from Ocean Boulevard, you can't get to it.
If you look at your map, going back some time before the Devaney properties, Devaney's donated the property to the town that was in the marsh. If you remember, you approved the acceptance of that some time back. It added to our open area, which we hope, any open area we have, also helps us with our CRS rating. If we get enough of it, it adds additional points. So the planning department encouraged y'all to accept that. We started back in that time talking to their attorney. We made the recommendation that possibly they could give us an easement. It would help them with getting to their property and would also assist us in getting to a property that we've basically been trespassing across in order to get to. So If you look at this sheet, we had some copies in the back, so we had some computer difficulties today, so I can't put it on the screen, but everybody has this is the easement width that we work with them, so that it would be in compliance with the town's ordinances, and they want to dedicate that. If you look at this map, you can see the paths by which we've been taking across those particular properties that we don't have a right to go across. We're just being allowed to go across them. Now, hopefully this will, we can get an easement across 2 of those properties. The other property there is it's land, but it's not very usable. Short of doing a taking, we're hoping that we can probably engage them and hope that they will give us an easement as well. But this is basically a free easement. You don't have to go out and ask for it. They're basically donating it, and it doesn't do anything but benefit the town.
I move that we accept the donation.
Is there a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second to,
Can I also, would you consider the authorizing administrative execution of the easement? I'm sorry, am I jumping in?
Amend my motion.
okay. You agree?
I allow the amendment.
Okay, all right. Everybody understand the motion and the amendment?
Yep.
Ready to vote?
Yep.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? It's unanimous, Madam Clerk.
And Diane and Chris are here with us tonight in the back, so.
Number 15. Madam Clerk.
I would recommend scheduling the interviews for the Inland and Beach Protection Board for 15 minutes prior to the next board meeting, so 6:45 on June 19th. I have several now, so if you guys want to do 6:45, June 19th, that would be appropriate.
Everybody agree with that?
Yes?
All right, Madam Clerk, you have their approval.
Thank you.
Town Manager's Report, number 16.
Yes, sir, just a few points tonight. Let everybody know that the last notice on tax bills gone out this week. That'll identify the delinquents, and if the property taxes, sewer assessments, and canal dredging fees haven't been paid, you'll be advertised in the paper and have your name posted up on Margaret's Wall of Fame out here in the lobby. Brunswick Electric has completed the streetlights replacement project, and I have heard 0 complaints about that project, either in terms of the logistics tail involved, nobody got run over, no complaints about the lights. Now watch everybody get on me for the changing of the lights, but they are different. Anyway.
I got one complaint, believe it or not, and it was really that, I guess it was, they're a little brighter, but it was a question whether, can the shield be put up?
Well, they actually shine like a flashlight.
I know, down.
And shine down.
I'm
so,
with you, but that was the question.
They're already shielded.
Yeah.
If you put anything around them, they're still gonna shine the same way.
Okay,
I already checked on it.
Okay, great.
They don't, the other lights they had, you could shield and it would change the directional lighting. What they're getting is their LED lights, it's actually reflecting back. There's no shielding that. You can't, it's reflecting, it's so bright, it's reflecting back.
yeah, I think we.
Off
talked
the
about
road.
that, yeah.
And it's
Okay,
bouncing off the road.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you somebody had a question.
The paving work on Marlin and Boyd Street by Highland Paving, there's a site visit set for tomorrow. Going to walk around with the engineer and just to do a site inspection. Anticipate starting next week, take about a week after that. So they should be finished up on those 2 streets within a couple of weeks. Also, the Point West stormwater work should be starting middle part of next week, take about a week also. So we've got a couple of street projects going. And the DOT parking and street sign requirements work that we've done, we're working administratively to sort through the map format that DOT wants us to do. just as soon as we satisfy DOT, we'll execute that encroachment agreement. I would like to say, though, that the Around Me app on the Around Me portion on the town app is hot as of today. So if you don't have the town app, you need to get it. And if you go to that app, it'll show you all the different accesses and parking and parks and amenities on there. So that's kudos to Heather for getting that up and running. The pickleball tournament this weekend had over 60 participants and included a Holden Beach team. I don't know how they did, but we were participants there. And last but not least, let everybody know there'll be a soft start on the splash pad sometime to be determined by Christie the week prior to Memorial Day. So the official opening isn't going to be until Memorial Day weekend. So if you see water out there, it's not open, we just want to make sure that it's ready for the massives that are sure to visit that site once it kicks off. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Hewitt. The mayor's comments, there was a special called meeting, I can't remember what the date was, and I had an obligation out of state, a real estate closing that was scheduled. I couldn't change it, so I couldn't accommodate your schedule. So that's the reason I wasn't at the meeting. I'm trying to remember if I've ever missed a meeting, but anyway, just thought I'd say it wasn't any reason other than something I couldn't change. And of course, the meeting was called at the last minute, so that's what I was doing. Otherwise, I think the island is probably the busiest I've ever seen it with repairs, construction, and maintenance. I think, building inspector, was it you or somebody said we had 30 houses under construction thereabouts?
Yeah, something like that.
And more painters and lawnmowers, and it's going on everywhere, and it's a great thing to see. And the comments that are being made, especially the visitors that were here for the days at the docks, there was a lot of discussion about how good the town looked. And there was also a lot of discussion about how bad the shrimp boat is starting to look on the waterway.
It's almost about disappeared, though.
It used to be a shrimp boat, it's soon to be a submarine. But anyway, overall activity here is great, and I've heard so much more positive in recent months than negatives, and it's a good feeling to have a positive atmosphere, and especially the fact that summertime has finally gotten here. We skipped over spring, I think, but it's a good time for Holden Beach. Mr. Mayor Pro Tem?
Just like to thank everybody for coming, and that's it. I have nothing else to say.
Ms. Pat?
Thank you for coming, and I look forward to seeing you at the various June meetings that we have in addition to our Board of Commissioners meeting in June.
Darren?
I'd like to also thank everybody for attending this evening, and a round of applause and congratulations to Christie.
John?
In addition to that, just Christie, I've promoted people in my time, but I'm never happier than to see you get a assistant town manager position. Well earned.
Peter?
I'll say the same thing. Congratulations, and I'm a big fan.
Okay. All right, number 19, public comments on any items that you would like to discuss. If you'd like to discuss something, raise your hand, be recognized, and come to the podium on my right. Give us your name and speak to the group, please.
This is Beverly Compton. I'm 1317 Ocean Boulevard West. Don't have much of a voice. But I'm a day late and a dollar short, but I don't like the lights. I love the look of them in the daytime, you know, down the street, and they put them in so fast. Oh, my gosh. But then when I'm coming from where we live, it's like bright light, dark, bright light, dark. Now, when I was in like 7th grade, I was told it takes 45 minutes for your eyes to adjust to a darkness if you go into a 7-Eleven and come out. I don't know if that's true or not. I've never heard anybody else say it. But there is this on and off kind of, sort of like a flashlight in your eyes. It's fine. Flashlight in your eyes, and that's like for 8 miles or 6 miles, whatever it is to our house. So 6 miles, my husband says, that's all. But, you know, they're up, and if there's no shade to be given for that, looks like 3 inches of the bulb that is right shining directly in your eyes, it seems. Well, there I am, a day late and $1 short. So,
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else want to speak? God, it's not even 8:15. Last call, anybody else? Is there a motion we adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second, let's go.
Adjourn, thank you.